And we're live here in the fandom zone. It is the most earth-breaking, ground-shaking, but never media show money taking. The man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying YouTuber in YouTube entertainment today, Mr. General Dave Filoni. That's right. Hats off. And don't worry, Stone Cold Jeremy. Everybody is here. Why wouldn't I be here? Let me tell you something, folks. I have been working since 5 a.m. lifting heavy shit. And I said there was no way I was not going to talk about Clone Wars because I have a feeling that there is a lot of different feelings about this. And I can't wait to dive into this episode and get everyone's thoughts and ideas about this because I got my own feelings, which I'm going to voice. But we had the last episode of Clone Wars, and I actually watched it because I had to get up early. I watched it before I went into work, and I kind of wish I watched it after work because there were a lot of emotions flying. But we're going to just get into this and comfort our souls. This indeed felt like the last episode. And with us today to help soothe our souls is Mr. LB. How you feeling, LB, after that Clone Wars?
Conflicted. But I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yeah. I watched the show Supernatural, and there was a great quote on it, and it's from like the 5th season. And to give you guys some context, the 5th season was supposed to actually be the end of the show. It got 10 more seasons after that because money. But there's a part where the person is writing. His name is Chuck. He's supposed to be like a prophet, and he's also the writer of their books. Like, they're characters in a book, but they're real life in the real world. It's a funny little side story. And he's writing this book, and he says that beginnings are easy. He goes, any ass chap with a keyboard can poop out a beginning. But he goes, endings are hard. He goes, you got loose plot threads and the fans. He's like, you can't please everyone. And he goes, endings are really hard. And he goes, there's so much you got to do. There's always going to be plot holes. And at the end of the day, it all has to add up to something. People have to find meaning in the ending that you make. And I don't know why. I was watching that today, and I'm like, this seems very relevant to what I'm going to talk about tonight. So let's get into it. First off, Mr. LB, let me get your thoughts and impressions before we jump into this on how you feel about the ending.
The very end or the whole episode?
The very end, and then we'll get into the episode as a whole.
Honestly, I felt nothing. Like I was streaming during the episode. A lot of people were like, man, I cried. I feel so sad. For me, it was just like it went off, and then I sat back for a minute or two, and it's just like, man, it's over. Like
I mean,
I don't think it was a bad ending. Like, it was cool, but it's like I'm sorry, like I don't feel anything.
For me, and I think for a lot of people, it feels like this ending feels like what we should have got wrapping up the Skywalker trilogy, right? I mean, that's how I felt watching this. Was like, when you get to the end of Rise of Trash, there's a feeling like that movie is just incomplete, and that you don't feel a satisfaction for having any of that cast brought back, any of it. It just doesn't, you don't feel anything. This, to me, though, felt like an end of something, an end of Clone Wars, that era
Right.
of movies.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, I felt like it's the end. Like, in Rise of Skywalker, is like, man, I'm glad this is over. Like this.
yeah, it's like two different feelings. And I went back through in my head and I was like, you know, feel watching this and then like watching the movies, it makes me a little bit more sad that the movies couldn't end like this. Like you came out of the theater and you had a sense like, man, that's the end of everything with Luke. That's the end of what was started in New Hope. I feel satisfied. You didn't get that. You got a lot of conflict, a lot of battling because of how uneven that movie was. But watching this, I got that feeling like, man, this is the wrap up of everything that was started in episode 1, 2, and 3. It felt like the last good Star Wars wrapping up, like, God, like, I hope this isn't the last of good Star Wars that we get, honestly.
I mean, yeah, I don't know about the future, but like, it felt like, okay, this is the end, but we might get something new with like Vader.
I would, given and we'll get into that very ending, but given everything, I also was watching Rebels, and that's actually a callback. Like, I started watching Rebels right where Ahsoka was introduced, and I realized what they did in this episode. This episode actually does a lot to directly link to Rebels. Right down to the cloak that she's wearing is actually where, when Ezra meets her, that's the cloak she's wearing when they first meet up. I forgot the name of the place or whatever, but
Ah, interesting.
yeah, she's wearing that cloak. And when they meet Rex, Rex talks about the episode that happened.
Ah,
So yeah, and I never would have picked this up, but I said, you know what? I had a feeling that they were trying to make it like he's always been trying to link all of the shows together.
uh huh.
And so I went back through and I started watching them and I go, oh, he seriously built this last episode to directly tie in to the Rebels storyline. And
Okay.
I thought that was a really good nod and a good way to tie two of his works together. And I
Okay.
respect it.
Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah, yeah, because coming from it, I like a lot of the things at the end I had to go back through because of course I don't know. I feel like I'm the minority, but I actually loved the Rebels from beginning to the ending. I like an older Ezra as opposed to the younger one. He was pretty annoying, but I didn't really mind him towards the end of the series as he like kind of grew up and matured. But yeah, when I was watching it, I was like thinking back to the parts and like even the lightsaber that she left, Vader shows her that lightsaber before they duel in the episode A Duel of Fates. So I mean, everything in this episode had a purpose and had meaning for what would come later. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Interesting. I mean, I didn't know any of that stuff at all. So okay, that makes more sense with stuff.
So yeah, if you check out the you could just like pretty much skip to the second season and just watch those subsequent episodes. You'll see a lot of the stuff that they did in this last night's episode actually directly calls back to things in Rebels. And I finally understood. And look, I look at this whole show like this, and maybe you have a different perspective, but I think that this show was about Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka. Even when you watch the movies, like the Clone Wars movie or the micro series technically came first, but the Clone Wars movie came before the show, right? And the movie introduced Ahsoka. and then they had her in the show. So when you think about the journey, all of this characters got a proper wrap up, but Ahsoka. And I feel
Yeah.
like seeing this now, it was really wrapping up two things that they actually never got to wrap up: the clones and Ahsoka's arc.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, before this season, that's like my main thing. Like, I wanted to see what happens to Ahsoka, because it's like, okay, all this stuff goes down and they cancel the Clone Wars show and you don't know what happens with Ahsoka. So like that, I mean, that is doesn't bother me at all. Like, you know, we got her story wrapped up compared to just guessing what happened.
Yeah, because you get the lost episodes and they're just kind of,
All over the
random
place.
episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all over the place because you feel like there was stuff that they were going to do, maybe some ideas they had, and they were just, on the cutting room floor. And they're just like, this is what we could stitch together for a final season.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad they got to go out the way they wanted to. So let's dive into this episode. We come back, and it looked really bad as they were getting through the door. And then Ahsoka and Rex they make it out of the med bay. And I just got to say, they cut to Maul, and we get more badass. Like, Maul is like hopped up on steroids in this episode. Like, seriously doing Force Unleashed type shit. Like, like when he pulled that generator and did the Force thing where he was basically single-handedly taking the ship down, I honestly got my Force Unleashed game, and I started playing it again.
Yeah, man, he was playing no kind of games in this episode at all.
Now, just highlighting this scene, let me ask you, do you think, like, Maul took the ship down, but my one thing is, they all didn't know if they were going to, in fact, be able to get off of the ship? I felt like that was a little bit of a gamble because, like, I feel like he went a little bit ahead of himself, you know what I mean? Because what if he did all that fancy stuff and then the clones managed to scuttle all the ships?
Hey, man, just one of those cartoon things. You never know.
Like, yeah, I know. We had this when I picked out that small thing from yesterday, but that's just one thing that struck me. Like, man, that was impressive. I love that scene. But what if they had seriously, like, destroyed all of the ships? And he's like, well.
Oh, well, I guess you gotta die. This is your ending.
I know. They would have quite literally, everybody would have went down with the ship, as they say. What up, King Stallone? What up, Gary North? Good to see you here. Perp, good to see you. And may the 4th be with you all. Welcome. Thank you. You could be anywhere else, but you're here with me and Mr. LB talking Clone Wars, and we're just going to kind of go through this final episode. We'll take it by the major scenes. We'll give you our thoughts and feelings, and then we'll go into the ending, and we'll kind of just wrap it all up. And then maybe next Sunday I will do a whole season overview, and we'll talk about the season as a whole with everyone else. So, anyways, we get to the ship. They've gotten out of the medical bay. Maul is doing his like awesome thing where he's essentially destroying the ship as a whole. Rex and Ahsoka get to the bridge and everything, and there is a lot of touching moments in this. Rex and Ahsoka are trying to do the stun thing, trying not to kill everyone, and they have a great scene with some dialogue talking about how they don't want to kill everyone, and how it's not their fault and stuff. What'd you think of that scene where they were in the bridge together talking, and Rex is really conflicted?
Like, Rex just needed to man up, man. Rex was acting like a straight B. And I mean, Ahsoka, I can understand like why she don't want to kill him because it's not her fault. But like Rex, bro, get it together, bro. Like at the end of the day, you're a clone, bro.
I gotta say, I took a different position. Being a soldier, I understand having brothers in arms and not wanting to hurt those people you served with, you know?
Yeah.
It's honestly not their fault. It's not like they turned traitor. It's just something that they got conditioned with. So it's a very sketchy line. And these are people, we've seen throughout the series he's bled with and, probably had a couple of beers with and things like that. So I can understand the conflict, but, when people are shooting at you, even if they're friends, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, desperate times and all that.
Hey, man. I'll just put it like this. These clones had a choice, bro. They ain't have to do it. They ain't have to do
it. Yeah, so, I mean, Rex is still trying to stun people. He's trying to find another way. They get onto the bridge, and then the battle ensues. And this final sequence, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. They lower the bridge thing and drops all of them down. Ahsoka's like hanging off the edge. The little robot dude throws her like a grappling hook thing, and she's like climbing up it and trying to deflect bolts. I mean, there was a lot of things going on. And let's talk about my favorite part of the episode. Maul straight dips on everybody.
Maul like, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, sorry. I dropped my phone. I was laughing so hard. He straight... And I got two trains of thought for this. What's up, Thomas? Good to see you here. Maul did twice try to give Ahsoka his hand. Twice. Mm-hmm. And she harshly declined twice. And I love it how, like, I guess it was necessarily, I don't know if she was shocked, but more like she thought there was going to be a different outcome to this. I don't know. But my man beelined it to the ship and straight left everybody.
He's like, I'm out. Whatever with y'all.
It was like one ship in the corner, and he's like, well, I did my thing. I took down the ship for you. I probably killed 2 battalion of clones. Y'all can handle the 30 over there. I'm done.
Yeah,
and
this y'all business.
And the great thing about this scene was we got to see her power, and actually she's quite powerful. She has the ship grounded for a while. Maul's like this with the throttle, and she's holding the ship with the force. And then, Rex gets in trouble, and she's got a choice, and she lets him go.
Yeah. So Maul escapes again, like whatchamacallit? What's his name from Transformers? Starscream or whatever.
Yep. He's straight Starscream. Yeah. That's funny you should mention that, because Starscream even dips on Megatron all the time. I don't even know. I don't even know. Megatron picked the worst lieutenant in the world.
The worst.
All his lieutenants would be like, yes, Megatron, we'll fight with you to the end. Starscream's like, I ain't dying, man. I'm out.
He like, I'll fight with you until this very moment, and I'm out.
And Maul is a survivor, and we all knew he wasn't going to be killed in this one. If you've watched Rebels, he makes an appearance, so he's going to do his own thing. But how they did that scene was hilarious. It was 5 a.m. I got up early so that I can have my cup of coffee and watch Clone Wars, get ready for work. Yep. Thank you, Gary North. Starscream does want to overthrow Megatron all the time. And so, I get up, and I had to keep it down, man, because when I see Maul dip, I straight up started laughing, and people are like, it's 5 a.m. What are you doing? I go, I'm sorry.
Deal with it, people.
Yeah, I was like, this is just too funny, man. He, like, he straight Olympic style jumped over stuff with the force, and they're running side by side. I've never seen someone sprint that fast before in my life. So, I mean, that was a pretty good moment. Lots of good special effects. It was hilarious. And then there's another battle that they have with the clones, and finally they manage to get the upper hand, and then they do manage to find a ship. Now, little side note, the ship that they use, the Y-Wing, that is actually featured in the in Rebels. I believe I have to watch the episode again, but I believe Rex has that ship. When they find him, he has like a sand crawler, and if you look in the background, that Y-Wing is like collecting dust and whatnot when he's explaining his story about how he escaped and removed the chip and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, another little Easter egg. They did a lot of callbacks to Rebels, which I liked because, you know, I followed it, so it was nice to get a nice connective bridge from, you know, this point to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they took so Rex takes the Y-Wing, and Ahsoka winds up being like, she jumps, but she's like caught, and I don't know what it is, like maybe in the trajectory of the engine as it's blowing up or whatever, but she's caught in like a cloud of smoke trying to like ease her way to do one of her fantastic jumps, and it was an intense scene. What'd you think of that scene where she's trying to jump into the back of the ship?
How did I feel? What did I think? I mean, I didn't think she was trying to escape. I was thinking like, oh, maybe she's trying to stop him. But then like, are you? Oh no, you're not talking about the Maul part. You're talking about the when they finally escaped.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, my bad. I didn't think it was as cool as the scene. What? Not. I think it was 2 episodes ago where she was jumping from ship to ship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that scene was awesome because she was like actually doing some fighting, but it was pretty dramatic. You know, with the fingertips, and she couldn't quite reach the thing, and she grabs it at the last minute and everything.
Was you about to cry?
No, I wasn't. At no point was I about to cry, and if I was, I'm not going to tell everyone.
Oh, so you did cry. Okay, I feel you.
But yeah, and Perp, I see you. I'll do some translating later. You wrote some Japanese in there.
He used Google Translate.
But I mean, you know, he did. They escape. They did their deal. She jumped through smoke, through fire, got to the back. They land on the planet, and the whole ending is kind of a really somber, really kind of sad thing. Rex takes the time. He buries all the clones,
yeah.
And I have that picture on my thumbnail. They're just both looking at all of the clones that have died. And, you know, essentially, she sees that as, you know, she died, I guess. And, you know, she drops the lightsaber. Yeah, she did. You know, she drops the lightsaber. We get a cut, and there is Lord Vader and it looks like a couple of years later, there's some snow and whatnot. He's there with stormtroopers, and he sees all the clone helmets lined up, and he looks in the snow, and there's the lightsaber, and he takes it, he puts it under his cape, and it's kind of, I feel like there's a lot said because we all know his helmet, and it's hard to see what his face looks like, but with the way the pauses were and things like that, do you think he felt some kind of something finding the lightsaber and believing, because he'll meet up with her later, but believing that she's dead?
I felt like he feels like somebody's gonna die soon.
Well, because we know Vader wasn't all heartless. He did have some times where he had emotional attachments, and just the way he kind of looks down, he looks at the lightsaber, he takes a moment and pauses, and he kind of like looks up, then he puts it away, and he kind of just leaves and goes about his business to probably kill someone. So that's a callback to him hunting the Jedi, because I'm assuming there's been snow and it looks weathered, so I'm assuming this might be like a couple of years later or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Some people I remember saying it was 5 years down the road. Man, yeah, people, I don't know if anybody has any solid proof, but I saw a few people say 5 years. Who knows?
It's probably in an EU book.
Yeah.
or a comic or something like that.
Yeah.
But we get that final cut, and even the music, everything is really sad. And here's the thing. I like the fact that the episode also matches the tone of episode 3, because in all actuality, this isn't the victory movie. This is not, Return of the Jedi. This is, the end of the Clone Wars, maybe a couple of years after. And, the bad guys won.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing happy about this ending. And it reflects that. Like, the music is sad, the mood or the tone seems a little sad. Like, the whole entire last 3 minutes or 4 minutes is just depressing, because Ahsoka lost everything. You could tell when she throws that lightsaber and she kind of looks around, she's done. She's had enough of everything. I mean, she's dealt with betrayal from the council, and then going back through and trying to help people, trying to do this thing on Mandalore, thinking she made a difference, to be betrayed by the clones, and then having to bury them all, and she started as a naive kind of teenager when she started this whole thing, with big dreams and high hopes and all of this optimism. And you can see by the end of this, she has taken such a beating throughout the course of this whole thing. It's kind of like what's happened with Obi-Wan, by the time you get to New Hope. They've essentially, both of them have lived to the end of this war and realizing that they have lost everything.
Everything.
So Gary North says, sounds good. I like a depressing ending. Yeah, Gary. Yeah. It was it was sad. King Sloan says Darth Vader was trying to find a way to bring Padme back, or bring back Padme. No, I think at that point he's just trying to find Jedi and kill them. He's fully embraced evil, and I think though finding that lightsaber for a brief moment, he was just damn, man, I wanted to kill my apprentice myself. Oh well. And then goes, that's the next thing. So yeah, that was pretty much the ending. So first off, let me ask you, before we dive into our feelings and our favorite scenes and all of that, what were you expecting a lot of action? Were you expecting some dialogue? Were you expecting to be kind of a a calmer ending? Like, what were you expecting the ending to be like?
I was expecting a similar ending to how it ended, but I didn't think they would do it like fast forward and show Vader. I thought it would be like either Ahsoka and Vader has a vision, or like Ahsoka sees Vader at the end. That's what I thought. I didn't expect it to go that way.
And seeing how it went down, did you think it was a suitable ending, or were you like, this sucked?
I'm not gonna say it sucked. Like, man, not confused, but I'm like, I guess I could say I was conflicted because, like, I think with this, it was kind of like Avengers Endgame. The hype was just too large for the ending, so it's like doesn't matter what happened. I was disappointed. Like I was expecting far more, but like part of me's like, we did get episode 3. Like, why do we need to do a rehash of all the characters from episode 3? Like Ahsoka and Rex, they weren't in episode 3. So like showing them and Maul, it makes sense. But like I said, man, I guess my own hyping up the final episode is what kind of did it in for me. But I mean, I enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I wouldn't say with the end of every show, but with the ending of shows in general. You always build up hype about a show, and the thing is, it's almost an impossible standard to live up to because no matter what we get, there's very few shows that will deliver the ending that you want. And to be fair, everyone's version and what they want is going to change. So
Right.
some people will be like, this was the greatest, most philosophical, like deeply moved me. Some people are going to be like, I wanted straight action and stuff like that. And we got this like sad, gloomy, depressing shit. I wanted to see stuff blowing up. Some people may have been like, I wanted to see her go back to the Jedi Temple, or you know what I mean?
Right.
But to me, I try to curve my own, uh, expectations. And I said, what makes sense to the story, right? And like you said, you laid it out perfectly. We saw episode 3. We already know what happens. We know what happens with Luke. We know what happens with Obi-Wan. Hell, we know what happened to Yoda, right? What we didn't know was what happened to these clones, what happened to Ahsoka. For me, it was, how did we get from here to Rebels? And they
Right.
answered that question for me. So I'm actually quite satisfied. I'm happy with the result that I got because for me, it answered my questions that I wanted answered, and it gave me a good through line. So now it doesn't, like, watching Rebels and seeing Ahsoka come back and seeing Rex came back was cool, but at that time I couldn't really appreciate it. Like, I was hyped because the characters were there, but I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't appreciate the whole entire story because it's kind of like, oh, okay, but like when they gave you a story, you could tell Dave hadn't really worked out the details because it was like, oh, this happened. And she told the story, but it had no meaning because I didn't see it, It's just a character explaining it to you. Now I've seen the episode and I know what happens, and it makes those later episodes of Rebels have more of a meaning to me than they did before.
Right.
So, King Sloan
It's
says, LOL. He was doing a lot of stuff in his castle, Mustafar.
I mean, this was like, I mean, it's kind of like you said, man. Everyone expected certain things. Like it was an impossible ending, and like I'm not gonna be too hard on it because like I've been saying a lot this season. We weren't even supposed to get an ending. They just canceled it. Remember?
Yep. They were just like, well, create your own ending.
Yeah.
And I think that it's cool that he got this option and said, hey, I want to end this and, give people something, So I think that it's cool that he even backtracked to go through it. And actually, this plays nicely because there's all of the buzz going on about the Mandalorian. And I figured we could talk about that for a little bit too. But it's nice to get that. For me, it was nice to get that final through line. PC Gaming Fox, welcome. It was nice to get the final through line and be able to connect both shows. And now I'm going back through and watching Rebels, and the story feels like it's meant now to jump off from Clone Wars into Rebels. They really do feel connected now. Yeah. It just doesn't feel like an extra show just because we got, Clone Wars canceled. Which, it's kind of funny because I said in my Penny Dreadful review, if you don't like the main character, you're going to have a hard time watching the show. And I noticed the number one reason why people don't like watching Rebels is because of Ezra.
Ezra's trash, bruh. And I don't care what nobody tell me. Ezra is 100% trash.
See, now that could be something we could debate because I'm on the opposite camp. I actually like Ezra.
Ezra was 100% aggravating piece of trash.
But yeah, so let's go into what our favorite scenes were and stuff. So what was your favorite scene of this episode?
My favorite scene, man. I think when Maul, he like choked out the clones, and then like he made the clone shoot his own clone, and like that was like probably my favorite that I'm thinking of right now.
Oh yeah, like when he double force choke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I was like, oh my god. Like he double force choked people. Like I've seen it done before, but never really in live action. So it was cool seeing like Maul do that as he's like walking through that hallway. Like I'm just gonna say Maul is MVP of these last episodes.
Yeah, that was cool to see, man. I like.
Yeah, that was. What was your least favorite part?
When Rex and Ahsoka looking like they was about to kiss.
Oh yeah, that's a little weird.
Definitely.
But yeah, that was awkward.
Yes, very awkward. I was like, what's going on here? Huh?
Well, people get that mentality though. Literally the ship's going down, and she's like, "Hey, I'm not a Jedi anymore. I want to get like something in before I die."
Yeah, well. No.
So, yeah, I'd say my favorite scene too would be the whole Darth Maul scene, and yeah, I like that whole thing. It was pretty cool, and I just like loved how he single-handedly took the ship down and then dipped on everyone. I mean, I'm conflicted, really, though. I'm tied between those two because him hauling ass and leaving everyone behind was hilarious. I was laughing so hard.
Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do, bro. I mean, one thing's for certain, like they definitely left this like open-ended where like if they want to, they can really like do some other stuff. Like they could do a Vader series, they could do a Maul series if they really wanted to. If they want to milk this.
And I've heard talks, and I think you might have heard the same rumors from the water cooler, so to speak, but I heard talks that they were actually trying to greenlight a Vader series.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, why not? I mean, you can. Like I said, I mean, they could do Maul, they could do Ahsoka, they could do Vader. I mean, I would love to see what Vader was up to between end of episode 3 up to episode 4. I mean, we don't read the EU stuff, so like between then and there, you got some stories you could tell.
Yeah, I mean, even if you took some of those ideas that are already out there and just, retooled them for a story.
Yeah.
I would even say I'd like to not see it live action. I would like to see it like this format, like Rebels or
Yeah.
not Rebels,
Me too.
Clone Wars.
I mean, there's so much more story you could tell. If they do it, if they do the animation just like they did Clone Wars, I'm with it. If they go to the Rebels route, nah, bro.
We'll have philosophical disagreements about that. I'd never
Man,
had a problem with the
bro, the animation in Clone Wars way better than Rebels, man. Like you watch an episode of Clone Wars, and then you watch not season 1 Clone Wars, like season 4, 5, 6 Clone Wars, and then you watch Rebels. It's like, bro, what is this kiddie mess y'all done put together? You know it.
I have to say one thing. I have to say I was waiting to see if they did Rebels Vader or a different Vader, and I gotta say the Vader at the end of this episode I take 100 times over because I watched the Rebels episode where
Yeah, he looks bony and frail.
yeah, it was like this one he looked a lot better. I think that this animation, like they really did some top-notch work with this animation. They should use that going forward. Any project animated that they have, they should use whatever program they switch to because it looks 100 times cleaner.
Right. They didn't use the Disney kitty looking stuff, man. They did the classic Clone Wars look. That's why. That's why.
Look here, King Sloan. I know you're trolling me with that. He said Clone Wars Season 1 still looks better than Rebels. 100%.
I mean, I won't argue that at all.
But yeah, I think that, Christoph Polish guy says, I really feel like the episode should be longer. They should expand more on the aftermath of Order 66, and I agree. Vader looks awesome. For me, I didn't need an expansion of Order 66. We got that in episode 3. We already know kind of what happened. I mean, it would have been cool to see Vader in action, but like I said, that was more of a, like you said, they left it more open-ended. That'd be something they could do. I mean, who knows? You could do a whole show on Order 66 and the hunting down the Jedi.
Yeah, like something like that'll be cool. A show based on hunting down the rest of the Jedi. Like I said, you could do a Vader series. Like you can do that.
Yeah, this felt like an ending, but if they wanted to come back and explore these characters, they could continue that. And I think it was like you said, very open-ended, but it closed the loop. It closed Clone Wars for me.
Yeah.
But like you said, it left a lot of other stuff that could be done within the universe. And I think purposefully that they left a lot of that stuff open.
Yep.
Because, there's been a lot of different magazines and stuff, and I'm not talking about we got this covered, but like digital news and Inverse and things like that have been covering this and giving it stellar ratings. IGN, not that I like those pricks, but there's been a lot of different I think not the Times, but one of the other publications were talking about Clone Wars and the impact it was having and stuff like that. And so this is resonating with a lot of people. And I don't think, we know Disney, I don't think they're not going to capitalize on the success of the show. And let's be real, whether you like or hate Clone Wars, this season is successful.
Okay, what is Fallen Order?
Fallen Order is the game for, I believe, the PlayStation.
Oh
What are we on?
man,
Four?
see, and that's the thing, man. Like I see what you're saying, but you, this is a whole different medium. Everybody don't play video games. So like following storylines of video games, that's the same thing with the movies. Hey, if you want to know more, watch this movie. I mean, read this book. No, that's not how it works, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And Polish guy, I understand because I've played like Knights of the Old Republic and things like that. But I love the Knights of the Old Republic game. But would I much rather see a television show or a movie? Yes. If
Exactly.
you could,
100 times out of 10. I mean, 100 out of
yeah,
100.
if you could get a live action Revan or Malik and not mess it up, Disney, then yeah, I would love to see that. Or have them like cross on a show or something like that. It would probably be, it'd be back in the day. The Old Republic is like way before Luke or any of them, so it'd have to be its own thing. But yeah, I mean, I would much rather see, like, I love the games. And look, video games to me are an even more acceptable medium than, say, books. Would you agree with that, LB? I'd be more apt to play a video game than I would to be reading a book about something.
Well, being that I never beat any of the video games, I guess.
I can picture you get mad because like, I just want to find out how the ending goes for this series.
I don't know if I've told this story, but like I don't remember. I really don't remember. It's either Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2. It's one of those two. I got to the last level, beat the game, and it like froze. Like if the end of it froze, and I don't know like what exactly happened at the end of the game. I don't know if it's the first or second, but man, that's like one of the few games I've actually got all the way through and defeated, and I can't even see the ending.
So to this day, you never found out what the ending was.
Yeah.
That in that case, that's where you go and read a review or watch something on YouTube.
Yeah.
The great thing about people playing games.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to go on YouTube to check this out.
Oh, Gary North pitched an interesting idea. He said, I want a Jabba the Hutt series like The Sopranos.
Oh my goodness.
Gary, that would be a great idea, but The Sopranos ain't family friendly. They'd have to put that on Hulu. They call it The Hutts. No, I think that'd be an excellent idea, but you know how Disney are with their property. We would never see anything like that. But it would fit. It would definitely fit those characters. But yeah, so overall we got the ending of this. And you know, I wish it was longer. I wish there was a lot of other things, but I was pretty happy with it. So let's get down to our rating and rate this, and I'll go with you first, Mr. LB. What'd you give this for your rating?
I gave it a 9 because, like, my complaint was I felt like it could have been longer, and most maybe because of my personal bias, it's like I didn't get the ending that I was expecting, you know. And you know, I gave the previous 2-3 episodes a 10, and I liked those a lot more. But I mean, I really did enjoy this episode. You know, I just wished it was a little bit longer, and you know, we got a few extra things in it. But I'm cool with the episode. Like, no complaints, man. I'm not gonna be like this is the worst ending ever or blah 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 blah. A fitting end to the Clone Wars saga.
Yes, I agree. And Stone Cold Jeremy said to me, so Zod, what are you saying? What you're saying is don't bother asking you if you've read certain books. No, I wouldn't say that. I'm joking around. I do read books, but I'm very, very, very picky. I've read Lord of the Rings. I've read Harry Potter. Uh, I've read some of the EU, like Squadron, Heir of the Empire, Heir to the Empire. Those EU books. And Thrawn. I read that one too. But I'm very, very picky when I choose to read because the truth is I just don't got time. Like I used to read a whole hell of a lot more, but I don't have time to sit there and read like a 500-page book. I mean, even if I get like an e-book and have it read to me, my job, I can't have headphones or anything. So, and then I got to make videos and stuff.
Sounds like you need to quit that job.
Nah, man, I'd be with that. Then I saw the paycheck and I was like, whoo. And they just gave us all, because of Corona, they gave me they gave us like a $2 raise instead of the normal rate. And it was pretty decent already. So, yeah, man, you got to make that money. But, if I get to like a couple thousand subscribers, then maybe I'll just make this full time and relax. Do a Tiger Kingdom.
If you want to do YouTube full time, you're gonna need to get around 20K subscribers, buddy.
That's what I hear. I'm hoping that when you get to like where you're at, I can reach out to Jeremy Johnson. He'll actually reply back to me. Posting on every one of his videos ain't doing it. I just still get a heart.
No, I mean that's off talk. I mean it really depends. Like if you stream a lot, and you get a lot of super chats, I mean you could be all right. You could be all right, but yeah, man, it ain't all that cracked up what a lot of people make it up to be.
Yeah, I'm not buying a house and the keys or something like that. So until I get that kind of money, But yeah, my job is a factory, Polish guy. I work at a factory making like different air conditioning parts and stuff like that for different factories like Nestle's and salt companies and things like that. So it's pretty cool, easy stuff. But yeah, I mean, this was a pretty good episode. For me, I gave it a 9.5, so it was about in the same ballpark. I went higher because it answered my questions, but I didn't give it a perfect 10 because I still feel like there was just something kind of lacking, and I can't put my finger on what it is. Just enough not for me to swing it to a 10.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's not a bad episode at all. It's a very, very good episode. I would go ahead and say it's great. It's just like I said, man. I think this is. I'm going to go ahead and say this is 100% of the Clone Wars fans. We all wanted more, but what we got wasn't bad. It's not like the finale was one of the Marquez sisters, the one where they started out in jail and then they ended up in jail. It's not like that was the finale of the series.
No, oh God, that would have been a big FU. No, the finale, to me, I'll even go a step further and say, to me, it is better than most other finales that I've seen for shows that I've been hyped on. Y'all remember Dexter? Dexter was one of my favorite shows. Don't ever watch that ending. I'm convinced before Game of Thrones, that was the shittiest ending I've ever seen in television.
I mean, and that's why I don't trip off of TV endings. Like, I mean, I understand I was more invested in the Clone Wars than other shows, but I've always said this: TV show finales, they're rarely great. Like, you're always let down on it. Like, I'm just thinking back to my favorite shows, like CSI. They did a TV movie of the ending. Like, I liked it. I enjoyed that some of the original cast came back for the finale, but it wasn't the entire original cast, and I felt let down but I still enjoyed it. Like Revenge, the finale was rushed. Like a lot of these TV shows, the finales are rushed. They try to get through every single thing to tie up every single loose end. And like with Clone Wars, they didn't do that. And I mean, I'm satisfied with that. And like you said, Dexter, the finale. Like I didn't see the Dexter finale. I couldn't. I had to stop watching. No, I did see the Dexter finale. I think I did.
Yeah, when he rolled off into the boat into the storm with his dead sister, and the cops just fucking let him take his sister's body out of the hospital and go onto a boat.
Yeah. Like Sopranos, the finale. Like it didn't suck, but it's like, huh? The Wire finale, like Game of Thrones finale for people. Even though I think it's great and outstanding, How I Met Your Mother finale, like Seinfeld finale, like finales for TV shows. I promise you, it's like pilot episodes and finales are rarely great.
Yeah, and the most at that point, the most you can expect is for it to at least stay within the confines of the story, and you get some resolutions. And it's not saying always drop your ball. Always drop your bar, but you do have to lower your expectations slightly and manage. I think manage your expectations is a better word. Like manage exactly what you're gonna get. Like for me, okay, Penny Dreadful, the original one, that ending was rushed as hell. But I've watched it a couple of times, and like going back through, I've kind of accepted it. And then they made this new one. And they didn't bring back none of the old cast or anything except for the one guy who was in it. But I mean, so, you got to kind of manage your expectations. And for me, for myself personally, it created a good through line to a show that I do like. Most people, I'm in the small majority, but it did go nicely into the show that I like. It wrapped things up, and to be honest with you, I'm actually glad they went with a sad ending because it kept consistency, right? When you think about Revenge of the Sith, that movie ends bleak too. Now, this episode is side by side with the movie, so it's only right that the episode ends kind of bleak and tragic, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, people deal with it.
No, Perp, I agree with you. The power ending was disappointing, except for the fact that Tommy lived. But other than that, yeah, like, yeah, you can pick out. There's probably hundreds of shows we haven't watched people can pick out where you've been disappointed. But I gotta say, this one for me didn't vastly disappoint me. I'll probably watch the whole season now, all together.
Yeah, I'm doing that tomorrow.
And you know what? The important part is we can watch this whole season. You got the little Martez thing, maybe I'll do something else while that little arc's going. But, I mean, other than that, you can watch this season consistently and enjoy it. And I think that's the important part. We got something back we shouldn't have. We got an ending. And I don't know. I've cruised around different channels, SC reviews, other YouTubers, and the general consensus seems to be people like it, or at the very least they understand the ending.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, I think I said this every single week. Like, I'm not tripping off this season. Like, I'm not even tripping off the Marquez or Martez. I don't even remember the name. I'm not even tripping off those episodes. Like, we ain't even supposed to have this. So I'm one of those people. I'm just happy to have it back. Like, if the episode from season 5 from March 2013, The Wrong Jedi, that was the last episode because Disney canceled it when they purchased they purchased Star Wars. So it's like, look, Lucasfilm. So it's like, if that was the last episode that we got for the rest of our lives, it's like we would have still been on this. Okay, what happened to Ahsoka at the end of the Clone Wars? Like, what happened? And then now we got the resolution to what happened to her.
And I think that it's a very smart business move, probably one of the first ones we've seen from this branch, because they want to use Ahsoka clearly. and we're going to get into that now because we're just about done with this episode. But they want to use Ahsoka clearly, and it's smart to finish up her storyline and get people invested in the character again, especially if you're making another show that's going to have that character. You want to bring them to the forefront and highlight them, get it fresh in people's minds and get them remembering, oh yeah, Ahsoka, I like that character. It was a very good business move. One of the few good ones I've seen done by Disney LucasArts. I'm calling it.
Yeah, man. So, I'm good with the finale. I'm good with it. I'm cool with it. I was just, like I said, like at the end of it, I just was like confused. I was like, man, I just had one of those feelings like I needed more, but I'm straight with it.
So speaking about getting more, we have the confirmation of The Mandalorian. It was in production or post-production and then Corona, and now they're still generating the buzz, but it's definitely confirmation we're going to get Ahsoka. Definite confirmation that Rosario Dawson is signed onto the project. So what are your feelings about this whole thing, and what are your feelings about them bringing her back? I know you didn't watch, you watched Rebels, didn't you?
Yeah, I quit because it was trash.
So you didn't see the ending of it?
Nope.
All right, well, where they left off at the ending is basically she went to search for Ezra, but she didn't die. Like, there was an episode where they thought she was dead after Vader, and then he found this whole cave thing, and there's like a place where Jedis can go. It's kind of an in-between thing, and Ezra got stuck there.
Then they did the whole whale thing.
I don't even
Jedis.
the space whale. I have had this argument with so many people. No one could ever convince me that was a good idea. I'm sorry. I hated it. I hated space whales explaining how they can do these different things in hyperdrive. I didn't need an explanation. I didn't need goddamn space whales. That was the one time where I was like, Filoni, you went like off the rails with this final. Like, they had Thrawn, they should have just kept it about the fight and getting off the planet. And I even they brought up the Crystal Fox was in Rebels. But I don't like that part. But once again, Ahsoka didn't die in that. So that leaves it open for her to come in The Mandalorian. Now, I'm really sketchy on these timelines, and I've been looking it up, but I want to say Ahsoka would be, and we talked about this, she'd be in her, 30s?
And what?
If she was to cross over into the world of The Mandalorian, like after New Hope and all that.
She would be in her 50s, close to it. Because what? Ahsoka was what? 15, 16?
Yeah.
In Clone
15,
Wars?
16.
And Clone Wars and Mandalorian takes place what, after the original trilogy, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Ahsoka would be in her 40s.
Yeah, so she'd be younger than Obi-Wan was in New Hope.
Yeah.
And she's a different race, so we don't know how they age.
Yeah, exactly.
So
she could age reverse. She could look like a baby.
Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
So what do you think about them doing that? And they're even mentioning, a lot of these callbacks that's going to be in the new season of Mandalorian. Yes, I agree with you, King Sloan. A lot of the callbacks in the Mandalorian, the Darksaber. So I traced back who had the Darksaber because I was even a little bit fuzzy about it, and I went back and watched the episodes. The chick, what's her face, who was in Clone Wars that Kermit hates with a passion.
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan?
Yeah.
She had the saber at the end of Rebels. Sabine gave it to her.
Sabine gave the dark saber to Bo-Katan.
Yeah, the sister. Yeah,
Okay.
Bo-Katan. Because she made an appearance in Rebels.
Sabine's her daughter.
No, Sabine is. I gotta watch it again. She's the daughter of one of the higher ups. I don't remember if she was her daughter. I'm rewatching it again because it's been a while since I've watched the whole thing. I watched it when it premiered all the way through, so it's been a minute since I've
Oh,
watched the final.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no. I'm a completionist. Once I start something, even if it's got to be truly terrible for me not to finish it. But yeah, I watched it all the way through, and I forget if she was her daughter or she was the daughter of someone higher up, and then she won the dark saber, and she was leading the people, and then she went to do the final fight with them at the end, and uh she was like, no, I don't want to lead these people, and she gave Bo-Katan the darksaber. It said you would be a better leader. But we see Moff Gideon has the dark saber, so clearly he took it from someone. I'm thinking he killed her and took the dark saber because she was the last one with it.
I guess we gotta wait and see.
Yeah, and Ahsoka knows about the dark saber because she was there when she, procured the saber and stuff like that. And I believe, yeah, Ahsoka helped teach her how to use the saber. Her, Kanan, and some other people showed her how to wield the dark saber. Because Mandalorians built it to fight the Jedi, but they taught her how to fight like a Jedi and Mandalorian. And that's how she won in the final battle against the other guy who wanted it. I forgot his name.
Like I said, you're gonna have to wait and see for the Mandalorian season 2 to find out how did he get this dark saber.
Now, here's another interesting theory, and this, folks, is not fact. I'm not doing a we got this covered. This is just speculation. Take it with a grain of salt. But there was a good point that I never thought about. But Sabine was not killed at the end of Rebels. So it's quite possible that they could also bring her back as well.
Bring everybody back.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I would look, I love the Phoenix Squad in Rebels. I know, minus Ezra. I love Chopper. I love Kanan, but Kanan wouldn't be coming back. He died at the end. So I mean, I love the Phoenix Squad though, and I would love to, because they had the ship, the Ghost, in Rogue One. If you look at the final battle, the ship is there.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the characters from Rebels were actively fighting in Rogue One, which is right before New Hope. So most of them would be able to make an appearance in these other shows.
Man, let's just end. Let's just kill off Rebels, man. I don't want to see none of them no more.
Oh man, come
I don't want
on.
to see no more Ezra, bruh. The aggravating Aladdin.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've heard that comparison, and part of me hates that that's a really good comparison. he's very Disney. He's very Disney. So
Yeah, he's very Disney. Extremely Disney. That's why he aggravated me, bruh. It's like, wow.
And see, that was the problem with Rebels. It had a competing tone because it did still have some very dark episodes, but it had that Disney touch to it, like where they try to make things lighthearted and stuff like that. And let's be real,
It wasn't
you even
even a
see,
Disney touch, man. It was the 5-year-old children's cartoon touch.
yeah, and I mean, let's be real, that's crept into everything. You can even find some Marvel movies where they do that. You know what I mean?
Man, we talking about Rebels right now. We ain't talking about nothing else.
I'm just saying, bro. It's all the same company. They do that. They do that with everything. They put that little kid touch in there
Bro,
somewhere.
Ezra was aggravating, annoying. Man, oh man, why are we still talking about Rebels, man? Show was trash, man.
You know what? We got to do something where I will defend Rebels, and we could do like Rebels versus the Clone Wars.
Boy, you stand no chance.
I was just saying, I can bring up some good points.
You stand no chance at all. I mean,
But even it's Mass, welcome Theo Mass, says, damn, I actually started crying last night. Yeah, and this is my point. I think that the Clone Wars was effective in touching a lot of people, and they felt the energy. Here's the important thing to wrap this up. I think that this last episode felt like Star Wars, and people in the comments, let me know what you think. But I feel personally this was Star Wars. This was what I wanted to see out of a Star Wars product. It felt like there was heart, there was passion, there was love for the material. You know, they weren't trying to half-ass it. There wasn't none of that stupid joking stuff. It was a very serious, down-to-earth episode. There's a lot of parts that felt like hopelessness and sad, and it didn't end like, Disney tends to end their products where, oh, everyone lived happily ever after and stuff like that. It was a true ending that the show deserved.
yeah, yeah, man. And now it's gone.
Now it's gone, yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta hope the next animated series that they do is good.
I feel like the next animated series is going to have so much so big of shoes to fill, because after you give the people something like this, and Theo Moss isn't the first one I heard say this. A lot of people were emotionally touched by this episode. Do you know how hard that's going to be to follow that up?
Yeah, they were, man. I was like, look, man, I didn't cry. My eyes didn't get watery, but like a lot of people grew up on this show. Like they was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they grew up on this show, and it's over for them. So I fully understand why they feel this way. And now we just gotta hope, man, that the next show they do, like they keep the same quality, man. They don't go into this, oh, we gotta have this, we gotta have that, go into the agenda mess that they currently doing, man. Just make a good show.
I don't know how many times, speaking of that, and I don't know how many times that this is proof. You don't need to put politics and agenda in just because everyone else is doing it. You don't got to be that person. It's like that old saying, if your friend jumps off of a bridge, are you going to do it? Remember when your mom used to say that? Yeah. My mom used to say it all the time. Like, I used to be like, well, my friend, oh, so if he jumps off of a bridge, would you do it? I'd be like, no, Mom, that's stupid. But, I will roll with him on this.
Yep.
But, they've proved this by making stuff like The Mandalorian and bringing back this Clone Wars. They are capable of making good shows when they don't get off topic. When they focus on a story and they give us good material, the people will react. The people will love it. The people will have a response where they're sad.
Yeah.
And they will give you money because you made them feel something. It's really easy to make money, Disney. Don't do dumb shit.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, we dove into this. We broke it down. I really had a great time doing this. And I'm sad because I feel like like, man, we've been covering this now for how many Sundays, and it's over, man.
Yeah.
We gotta find something new that we all watch so that we can bring these fine people like content on Sunday.
Yeah, man. I don't know what it's going to be that I'm going to watch or any of that stuff, but man,
Yeah, man, it feels like endings all around, but I like to say I appreciate everyone who's come to watch me, LB, PB, Kermit, or Burt talk about the Clone Wars and give you our ideas, argue back and forth, and do stuff. Say our points. I think we've all, by talking about this, have been able to throw out different things and see different points of views, and maybe each of us got something different from the episode that we would have never gotten. And this is what Star Wars is supposed to be. I'm gonna get on a little sentimental thing because this episode was sentimental. So I'm gonna say this is what Star Wars is supposed to be. For me, it's very personal because when I was 5 years old, one of the first movies besides The Blob, thank you, Dad, if you're watching for that. Besides that movie and being terrified to ever go in a shower again, I watched Star Wars on Laserdisc. It was A New Hope. My stepdad had gotten a bunch of Laserdiscs, and he had all three Star Wars, and he had Excalibur. And those were the first movies that I watched as a kid. The very first one that we put in was Star Wars New Hope, and that's why that one in particular is one of my favorites. But I grew up like from that point on, I loved everything about this world and these characters and things like that.
yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that have the same stories or the same things, and I think it's important to preserve that. And I think we need to keep politics and things like that out of it and just give people good content, and so we can have these talks. People miss doing this. People miss going online and talking about how great an episode was and the details, and not, oh, does it have something to say, or, oh, there's this political message. It's nice to just have a nice conversation about the episode itself, about the story.
You're 100% right.
So on that note, I'm gonna let you plug your channel. You got anything coming up for us? I know you've done like so many streams, man. Like it feels like you're streaming every night.
It seemed like it, but my bad. Yeah, I'm sleepy. But let's see. Wednesday, I'm doing a special edition of Lonely with Friends, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Friday, Empire Strikes Back watch along. Saturday, Return of the Jedi. Then next week we'll get into the Disney sequel stuff. But man, Theo, I saw Theo mention, no more Thursday night. Well, no, that's not entirely true. Well, Mandalorian will come. We'll be doing that, obviously. And then I'm going to start streaming every Thursday night. I'm going to go back to doing my weekly stream on Thursday night because I got some ideas coming up. So we're going to do that. But, man, other than that, man, same old stuff on the Lonely Banter. Everybody here know my channel. So, it is what it is. It was a lot of fun doing this. I'm definitely, man, like, I'm not trying to get all sentimental, but I'm going to miss talking about the Clone Wars every week, I mean, this is one of my things, man. I would have been doing YouTube back then. Like, if I knew what I knew now, I would have did YouTube when Clone Wars was running the first time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no Cobra Kai, Perp. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, we got Cobra Kai, and maybe me and Purple talk about that because Cobra Kai's fire. But yeah, this has been great. Thank you, everybody. Don't miss next Sunday because we're gonna do a season wrap up where we'll have all of the usual suspects, and we'll talk about the whole entire series in general. We'll give highlights and talk about our favorite things we liked throughout the series, what we didn't like, if the ending lived up to our expectations, all of that. And maybe I'll do one Sunday where we just talk about, now that we have finally the whole entire Clone Wars, maybe we'll talk about all of Clone Wars in general.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see that. But that would mean I'd have to go back there and watch every single episode again.
Uh-huh.
But Corona times. What else are we gonna do?
You got a job, man.
That's right. Shit. Anyways, thank you all. For me, the Prophets of Geek Culture. Go check it out. We started a new channel. It's me, PB, Cybernetic Huskies, EBJ Reviews, and of course the man in the chat, Mr. Perp Minded. I believe you have a wrench, so you can drop that link. But we have our own channel focused on just geek culture stuff. None of that nonsense about that you get with other places. We are focused on comics. I do the comic stuff. Mr. Stevie J does movie reviews. Cyber does gaming. And Pop Culture does news and random stuff. So, you can get something different from each of us. We all post a video. I'll have a review coming out on the Joker 2008. I recently took a poll, and it was between Joker and Punisher, and the Joker won. So I'm going to be reviewing that comic book, show you some panels, give you some thoughts on whether or not it's worth your time to read. And spoiler, it is. Also, I got my Penny Dreadful review that will be every Sunday at noon. So I'll be going through every single episode and giving you guys a breakdown if you watch that. And yeah, you guys should all definitely come and subscribe to everyone. Subscribe to Burt, who's not here. Subscribe to Pop Culture PB. Lonely Banter's at 8K, so you're probably subscribed to him. But make sure, you're watching this stuff because he's got some good videos.
Sometimes.
But anyways, thank you, everybody. We appreciate having you. I appreciate having this conversation. Chat, you've been wonderful. So many good comments, so many good questions. I appreciate the interaction. And we'll join you this Sunday for the Season 7 wrap-up, where we're going to talk about the whole entire season. Don't be late. Definitely be there. It's going to be at 6 o'clock my time. So until then, remember the only rule here in the Fandom Zone: kneel before General Zod.
No.